Thank you for tuning in to The Reading, produced by Black Spectrum Network. Please go to www.blackspectrumnetwork.com to purchase a private psychic reading. If you can't get enough of my content, go to patreon.com/Black Spectrum Network. For as little as $2 a month, you can get these and other videos at least 1 week ahead of their YouTube release date. Please like this video, click the subscribe button, and leave us some feedback in the comment section. I'm going to now begin this reading on Robyn Crawford. Okay, so my first question about Robyn Crawford is I want to know who she was to Whitney Houston. Okay, so the cards. So the first card is the Queen of Discs. This card is speaking about Robyn Crawford handling a lot of Whitney's business matters in terms of her money. I see her, and this is not like an accountant sort of thing. It's kind of like if somebody was to pay Whitney a check, Robyn was the one that held on to the check. She held Whitney's purse sort of thing. So she was a woman that was attached to Whitney by her purse strings. So Whitney felt like Robyn was, how you have that homeboy or homegirl that you can trust with, to trust to hold your pocketbook, that person that won't steal from you. Like she actually held on to Whitney Houston's money, like the physical money, but it wasn't like she was managing her money. She was a protector of it. In addition to that, I'm saying that Robyn was someone that Robyn was someone that Whitney Houston would go to for very solid advice. So Robyn has a lot of masculine energy, and her perspective of Whitney's her perspective on Whitney's life was like a homeboy. So she was essentially giving the homeboys advice and helping Whitney to manage her money from the background. The card for adjustment is saying that Robyn's role in Whitney's life would transform based upon Whitney's feelings towards her. So if Whitney felt that Robyn needed to be a bodyguard, a protector, or an enforcer, that's what she was. If Robyn needed to be the friend that gave her an honest perspective of what was going on in her life, that's what Robyn was. The Truth card is saying that Robyn always acquiesced to Whitney's demands. She was very submissive to Whitney Houston. I'm seeing the Truth card as being about Robyn feeling as though she needed to always give things up to be around Whitney, and those things that she was giving up were her she had to give up her temper. So Robyn had to be extremely patient with Whitney. She had to give up her voice. So she had to kind of not so much as be a yes man, but she had to be silent and observe Whitney's life and then provide an objective opinion about what would go on in Whitney's life. I'm pulling more cards. This is also saying that I don't know why this is coming up, but this is saying that that Whitney's death allowed for Robyn to move on with with her life. She felt that things had ended for the better through Whitney dying. I don't think that Robyn really ever left Whitney's company, because the death card and the chariot is like these two cards together are saying that the only reason Robyn has let Whitney go in her heart, in her memories, and is because Whitney's physically no longer here. So the completion card is saying that there was this, things in their relationship were complete. Okay, now the cards are still speaking. So the Princess of Cups is saying that Robyn knew her place in Whitney's life. They did have she did have emotional feelings like these. She felt like Whitney was a sister friend to her. The lust card is saying that there was a sexual relationship there. They did have sex with each other. And it's saying that it was from Robyn's perspective that she lusted after Whitney. The victory card is saying that, and this is what makes sense, Robyn was just happy to be in Whitney's presence. Robyn has a very beta energy, and she was fine with being in the back. Like I'm saying is because I watched a little bit of the Bobby Brown movie, so I don't really know that much about Robyn. Y'all already know the spiel. I don't know much about Whitney Houston. I definitely don't know much about Robyn Crawford. I half-ass watched the Bobby Brown movie with my friend Christina last night. So the Princess of Cups, the lust card, the victory card are saying that Robyn felt like as long as she got a piece of ass from Whitney, she was cool. And Whitney could just, that's how Whitney kept Robyn around, a kiss here and there, an encounter here and there. But Robyn enjoyed just being in the presence of Whitney. She had a deep appreciation for Whitney. And I should have pulled personality cards, but the energy that I get from Robyn is that she's very meek. She is quiet, very secretive. And she held on to a lot of other people's secrets. She had eyes and ears everywhere, and she only spoke when she felt like it was important. So she reminds me of those reticent characters like Quiet Anne from Claws, Huck from Scandal, that sort of energy about her. And I'm saying that made her valuable to Whitney. So let me talk from Whitney Houston's perspective for a second, because what I'm getting from Whitney Houston's energy, and I'm probably pulling some of the same information from my Whitney Houston reading, which I don't remember. But I'm getting from Whitney Houston that Robyn was a good sexual fling for her, a good romantic escape for her, and Robyn was an outlet for Whitney, and Robyn didn't mind being a safe zone for Whitney Houston to express her sexuality, express her romantic feelings, her honest opinions about the industry, her family, different traumas that she was experiencing. Robyn held on to all that information. She's a walking diary book of information for Whitney Houston. That was her relationship to Whitney. I'll pull a few more cards to see if they're going to say anything else. No, Spirit is pretty much regurgitating the same stuff. So this last row of cards, the shred of evidence, not shred of evidence, the shred of information that I can get from this new throw is Whitney needed Robyn around so that she could be emotionally stable. Whitney needed Robyn around because everybody needs a confidant. Everybody needs that one person that's in their corner to support them just for being them. That's who Robyn was. In another reality, they could have been a power couple, but they had a power friendship. And that friendship helped to elevate Whitney to the status that the superstar status that she had acquired. So what this specifically means is that Robyn was a voice of wisdom. Sometimes Whitney Houston would take that advice when Whitney Houston needed an outlet to vent or to get out her mental or sexual frustrations. Robyn was there. It helped to keep Whitney focused, to keep her balanced, and that was Robyn's purpose for being in Whitney Houston's life. Okay, so my next question is, what What were Robyn's feelings towards Bobby Brown? What were her feelings towards Bobby Brown? Robyn felt like Bobby Brown took a priority over her, so it wasn't her place to have a deep opinion about him. What I can say is that the moon card says she felt like he was a master of illusions. And she felt like Bobby Brown in the abundance card. She felt like Bobby Brown was attracted to Whitney because of his money, and she felt that also because he had it's like there were things that Bobby Brown, yes, him having a penis, I was gonna say that, but there were things that Bobby Brown could do for Whitney that Robyn just was not able to do. Robyn was comfortable being the friend. Robyn is someone that knows. She didn't know her limitations, but I wouldn't even say she knew her limitations. I don't want to say she was that conscious because I don't get that from her, but rather I get that she was more so programmed. It's like Whitney had conditioned her to being comfortable with the way their relationship was. It was I don't get down that way all the time, but I do love you as a friend. Whitney kept their relationship coded. And when I say coded, it's like if Whitney did have sex with Robyn, it wasn't for pleasure, it wasn't for love, it was because they were friends and they were having a good time. It was like that. That's how Whitney would describe it. So for Robyn, she felt like Whitney was doing what she was doing to please people in the public eye because they fit. Robyn felt like Whitney matched Bobby's financial excellence at that time. Robyn also, because the Lover's card is also talking about cheating, Robyn felt that Bobby Brown never stopped cheating on Whitney Houston, and that he presented lots of gifts to her and kept her in an illusion. The Ace of Discs, the luxury card, the Knight of Wands, is saying the same thing, that Bobby Brown is very sexual, thinking with his penis and his phallic energy was what hypnotized Whitney and kept her in this relationship. The Ace of Discs is talking about new business ventures and Bobby Brown presenting. Look, when I say I half watched the movie, I watched like an hour and some change of the first part of it while I was getting my hair braided. So anyway, I'm saying this, the Ace of Discs is talking about new business partnerships. The luxury card, the Knight of Wands, is saying that by trying to combine resources with Whitney Houston, that was another thing that it was like, that's another advantage that he had over her. So Robyn felt like Bobby Brown was competition, but she never said it out loud. She kept to herself. She kept those thoughts to herself. Maybe she had mentioned it to Whitney in passing, maybe, but she wasn't too vocal about Bobby Brown. She didn't want her opinion to influence what Whitney had going on. She wanted Whitney to remain free. So that's what helped their friendship to be so. That's what helped their friendship to be so warm and touching, is that Robyn encouraged Whitney to always have her freedom, even if that freedom meant that Robyn had to get used for sex or for being a handmaid. Maybe handmaiden is not the correct word, but Robyn was a personal assistant and a bodyguard, and sometimes a lover, homie, friend. Did Robyn feel she was accurately portrayed in the film? Funny thing, yes, Robyn. One thing that she wanted to be talked about more, one thing that she wanted hinted at a little bit more through the work was sex. Excuse me, but she wanted it to be more known that there was a sexual relationship, that things weren't just romantic. She wanted that to be illustrated for people to see it. The art card and the ancestors card are saying that she, from a deep spiritual place, she wanted this presented on the television screen. And she feels that this would have made the story even more unique because Robyn doesn't want to, and I get this energy from Robyn right now. She doesn't want to speak about it, but she does want her truth to be told. And as far as its accuracy, she feels that it's accurate. In terms of how discreet her relationship was. The high priestess is talking about Robyn's the high priestess, so this is essentially her living in the shadows, keeping all of the secrets. The Ace of Cups and the Prince of Cups, she's hiding behind Bobby Brown's relationship with Whitney Houston. So that's the truth. She kept all of her dealings with Whitney Houston hidden. And was she okay? Was she okay with keeping things hidden? That's the other question. Robyn had financial interests in being around Whitney. It's not like she didn't enjoy living a lavish lifestyle herself. She, Robyn probably doesn't have millions and millions of dollars, but just by being in proximity of Whitney Houston, she was experiencing a lifestyle that she never would have and traveled to countries she never would have. So the indolence and the defeat card are saying that, cash rules everything around me with Robyn. And she didn't want that to end. So she was she had to get her mind comfortable with being in her position. She's like, it's better to be around Whitney than not to be around Whitney. As far as her portrayal, she's like, it's pretty accurate. She can't disagree with the events that were being played out in those scenes. So I also want to know, why has Robyn not really spoken much since Whitney died, or why has she not spoken much at all, period? Why don't we know anything? What does this mean? Something, Bobby Brown, because Robyn feels like Bobby Brown has dominated most of Whitney Houston's life, and Robyn feels like Whitney chose him many times over her and quickly. Robyn doesn't feel, she feels as though her relationship with Whitney Houston is deeply personal, and that the things that happen between them are not for the public. And so she doesn't really care to tell them. The science card, the happiness card, is saying that she feels that they were romantically compatible with one another, and Whitney Houston made her happy. But with Bobby Brown being the iconic relationship, she feels that her relationship doesn't matter. She reduces her experiences to just being about, okay, this is something that happened to me, and this is something I'm going to keep to myself, and this doesn't need to be for everybody else. And she's doing that because she compares the notoriety of Whitney and Bobby's relationship, and says that theirs was more famous, more legitimate, more acceptable. Therefore, hers doesn't need to be told, and she doesn't want to tell her story. It's a bit of it is out of shame, a little bit of it is out of embarrassment. And it's also a little bit out of fear. It's all three of those things. But mostly it's an insecurity dealing with her not being able to do for Whitney Houston the way Bobby was able to do for Whitney Houston, and Bobby wanting his experience to be the dominant narrative that's told. And she feels that hers doesn't compare to his, that it's just less important. That's how she feels. It's not as important. Okay, so now I want to know, does Whitney's family keep Robyn from talking? Does Whitney's family keep Robyn from talking? It's not Whitney that keeps. It's not. There's a matriarch. There's a matriarch that's completely satisfied with Robyn not being spoken about. And what does she want? she's going to shut. If Robyn came out and spoke, she would shut Robyn down. It's like this woman would have Robyn handled. It's like she doesn't play. Really doesn't want this to get out about Whitney Houston. She really wants it denied. Whitney Houston's coming up as a princess of swords. I'm still asking about the Sirah card. She feels like this matriarch, this woman, she feels like, because she's coming up, the matriarch is coming up as the Queen of Cups. The matriarch feels like in her opinion, she thinks that Whitney's relationship with Robyn Crawford caused her a great deal of sorrow. She feels like it left Whitney Houston feeling trapped in a three-way relationship, and she also feels like it was more important for Whitney Houston to be with Bobby. She's like, it's more important. She feels like Robyn pushed Whitney to being with Bobby in some way, and she feels like Robyn was trying to tempt Whitney into being a lesbian, and with Whitney fighting against that, that's why she further dealt with Bobby Brown. And the reason the Fool card is coming up is because this woman feels that Robyn would be, essentially a fool. She's like, she's taking a big risk here. She doesn't need to do that. That's not what she needs to do. This woman has Robyn in silence. Also, Bobby Brown. Bringing it back to Bobby Brown. Bobby Brown is not. Bobby, again, he wants to have the dominant narrative, and it's like because he has a certain vision for how Whitney's life should be told or portrayed, he's not really interested in having Robyn come out publicly. Now, does Robyn want to say anything publicly? It's basically, the cards are basically saying it's not about if she wants to or not, that it's a consequence to it. The cards aren't saying if she wants to or not. They're just saying like there are consequences to her speaking out. The Ace of Swords is talking about her speaking the truth. The interference card, the Sun. So as soon as things come to light, there are going to be people that interfere with what she has to say. So they're either going to discredit her or they're going to try to intimidate her and say that it's not true. So Robyn just pretty much is avoiding it altogether. The Hierophant, the Queen of Wands, the Hermit, it's this matriarch would try to file some sort of lawsuit against her, or give a cease and desist, because there's a lot that Robyn knows that isn't obviously. This it doesn't take a rocket science to know this. Because this woman was eyes and ears to a lot of things, and people were just kind of speculating that they had a relationship with each other. It's like, and it was secretive. There's obviously there's a lot that Robyn knows, but this Queen of Wands, this matriarch, would put a cease and desist out or try to sue Robyn or to some effect. Okay. All right, so that was my reading on Robyn Crawford, trying to figure out who she was. I know that was very quick. I probably should have done some personality cards on it, but I really didn't think it was that serious. Robyn is actually kind of interesting. So if you want more Robyn Crawford, go into the comments and say, I want more Robyn Crawford. And guess what? I'm going to give y'all more Robyn Crawford. I actually do plan to come back to this reading because, again, this was quite interesting. All right. With that being said, thank you for tuning into the reading produced by Black Spectrum Network. Please go to www.blackspectrumnetwork.com to purchase a private psychic reading. If you can't get enough of my content, go to patreon.com/Black Spectrum Network. For as little as $2 a month, you can get these and other videos at least 1 week ahead of their YouTube release date. Please like this video, click the subscribe button, and leave us some feedback in the comment section. Before I go, I leave you with this quote from Iyanla Vanzant. The answer always lives in the same room as the question. You are the answer. And with that being said, I know that quote to be true. I'm your reader, Negzo, and thank you for tuning in to the reading.
So fuel my fire, take me higher, I'll be your liar too. Cause when we're here, there's nothing better than the skyline view.